You've been fooled into taking life way too seriously. That's not a poetic exaggeration, it's the core truth at the heart of this entire message. The chase, the pressure, the constant striving to be someone, to prove something, to achieve more, none of it is necessary. And worse, none of it is even real. That's what Alan Watts lays bare. That the whole structure of how we think life works, the ladders, the titles, the success metrics, is an illusion. And not a harmless one. It's an illusion that traps people in stress, anxiety, and disconnection, all based on the false belief that we are separate from everything around us. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. That we're individuals on some racetrack, constantly being judged, constantly needing to control the next step. But you're not separate. You're not cut off. You've never been. The idea that you're a distinct entity struggling against the universe is exactly what's caused so much inner conflict. Because it's a myth. A belief handed to you so early that you didn't even realize it was just a story. From the start, people are taught to believe that life is a test. That the world is something to conquer. That peace comes later once you've earned it. Once you've done enough. Once you've succeeded. But that story is false. Watts calls it out for what it is. A lie we've inherited, and a distraction from the truth of being. Life isn't a problem to solve. It's not a project to manage. It's not a battle to win. It's not even a journey to master. It's an experience to be lived consciously, fully, and without constant resistance. The more you try to control it, the more disconnected you feel. Because control is another illusion, a mental trick to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty. But life is uncertain. It always was. And pretending it isn't doesn't change that. It just exhausts you. So relax. Not in a shallow, surface-level way, but actually relax mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Step back from the endless mind loop that says you need to be more, do more, prove more. The striving will never give you what it promises. That finish line, it keeps moving, because it was never real to begin with. Watts points to something deeper. He calls out how we mistake the mind for the truth. The mind is an amazing tool, yes. It plans, organizes, creates. But it's not the ultimate authority. It reacts out of fear, classifies things into categories, and invents stories to feel secure. When you believe everything your mind says, you live in a filtered version of life, distorted, anxious, and incomplete. True peace doesn't come from achievement. It doesn't come from reaching some mental checkpoint. It comes when you stop identifying with the noise. When you let go. When you stop trying to force life into some pre-approved shape, and actually allow yourself to be here, without resistance. The whole ladder-based system we operate under, the grades, the resumes, the social status, is an artificial structure. It's a rigid blueprint that ignores how nature actually works. Life doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in spirals. It unfolds, breathes, flows. There are no permanent roles or final destinations. There's only now, only this moment, unfolding. But the illusion of the ladder keeps people locked in performance mode. Always climbing, always comparing, always exhausted. And all for what? Temporary validation? Fleeting approval? Meanwhile, the very joy they're chasing is right here, buried under layers of effort and expectation. When you stop playing that game, you don't lose, you wake up. You see that you were never separate from life. You are part of it. You are it. That shift isn't just philosophical, it's deeply liberating. Because once you realize you don't need to earn your place in the universe, everything changes. You stop striving and start living. And then there's the emotional piece. So many people are taught to suppress, hide, or deny their emotions. Sadness, anger, fear. They're labeled as problems, as things to push away. But that approach only creates more suffering. Because rejecting emotion is rejecting a part of your experience. And nothing healed through rejection. Watts emphasizes that true peace doesn't mean never feeling pain. It means feeling it fully, without judgment. Letting the emotion move through you without grabbing onto it. Without making it your identity. Emotions, like waves, rise and fall. The suffering comes from resisting them, from clinging to stories about what they mean. But when you let them pass, when you observe them without attachment, you create space for something deeper, real presence, clarity, and joy. That joy isn't found at the top of some imagined mountain. It's not waiting behind a promotion, a relationship, or a goal. It's here, underneath the noise. It always has been. What keeps people from accessing that is the illusion of separation. The belief that you're alone, that you're against the world. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next. And you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. But when you see through that, everything softens. You realize you're part of the same fabric as everyone else. The same energy. The same life force. That awareness breeds compassion not just for others, but for yourself. And that's crucial. Because so much of this seriousness, the internal tension, comes from self-judgment. From trying to meet standards that were never yours to begin with. Watts calls attention to that conditioning. The stories, labels, and roles you inherited, none of them are truly you. They were placed on you. You can let them go. Letting go doesn't mean losing control. It means dropping the illusion that you were ever in control. And in that surrender, something beautiful happens. You reconnect with your wholeness. Not as an idea, but as a felt reality. The peace people search for is not in the next goal. It's in the release of needing one. Watts doesn't argue for detachment in a cold, indifferent way. He speaks to a lightness, a cosmic humor that sits beneath all the seriousness. Because once you see how much of this struggle was self-created, how much of it was based on illusions, you start to laugh. Not because it's meaningless, but because it's been so needlessly heavy. That's the joke. That's the twist. Life was never asking you to carry all this. It was never a test. It was always an invitation. To be, to breathe, to feel, to witness, not to win. Children live this naturally. They're present. They don't care about resumes or reputations. They're immersed. They cry when they're sad. They laugh when they're joyful. They move on. They don't cling to identity. And that's not immaturity, it's wisdom we've forgotten. So what do we do with all this? We return. We relax. We stop performing. We drop the roles. We stop trying to prove that we matter and start living like we already do. Because we do. You do. Life is not serious in the way we've been led to believe. It's not a heavy script that must be acted perfectly. It's a dance. A game. A mystery that doesn't need to be solved, just experienced. The tension, the stress, the endless seriousness, they dissolve when you remember this. When you finally see through the illusion of separation, you reconnect with the joy of being alive, with the simplicity of now. And that's the essence of Alan Watts' message. That you were never broken. You were never behind. You were just caught in a dream. And now, you're waking up. If this message landed for you, drop a comment and let us know how it hit. Are you holding on to a story that's no longer serving you? Are you ready to let go? Hit like if this sparks something inside you. Share it with someone who's been taking life a little too seriously. And subscribe for more grounded insight into the big questions that actually matter, because sometimes the most profound truths are the simplest ones, just waiting for us to slow down enough to hear them. You've spent your whole life being trained, coached, conditioned, quietly nudged to take things seriously, to see life as a list of tasks, challenges, achievements. School taught you that your worth comes from performance. Work taught you that time is money. Culture taught you that happiness is somewhere in the future, bought with effort, stress, and success. And so, you keep running, climbing, measuring, performing. But Alan Watts tears that script to shreds. Because what if the entire premise is flawed? What if there's nothing at the top of that ladder? What if there never was? The jobs, the grades, the titles, they're not ends. They're games, social constructs, movable goalposts. And yet, people tie their self-worth to them like lifelines. No wonder so many feel empty even when they're winning. Watts invites you to step off that treadmill not as an act of laziness, but of clarity. Because when you stop trying to earn peace, you realize it's not a reward. It's a birthright. And all that striving? It's fueled by one massive illusion, that you are separate. Separate from others. Separate from nature. Separate from the present moment. But separation is just a thought, a habit of perception, and it's incredibly convincing. You've been looking through a lens that says you are here, and everything else is out there to be controlled, fixed, achieved, or avoided. That belief creates anxiety. It breeds comparison. It feeds the pressure to dominate life, instead of dance with it. And that's where it all begins to break down. Because life isn't a structure to conquer. It's movement, flow, a rhythm. And the more you try to nail it down, the more chaotic it feels. Because control doesn't bring peace, it brings fear. Every attempt to control the future is an admission that you don't trust the present. And that mistrust eats you from the inside. But what happens when you drop the need to control? Not give up, let go. That's a very different thing. Letting go is not apathy. It's presence. It's trust. It's stepping into the experience fully without the compulsive urge to reshape it. And from that place, everything softens. Because when you stop resisting life, you start living it. When you're no longer tangled in fear-based narratives about success, failure, image, reputation, you return to what's always been true beneath it all. You are enough, right now. You don't need fixing. You don't need saving. You don't need another self-help book or another productivity hack. You need to stop believing that you are broken. That's the cruelest trick of all, that somewhere along the way, you were convinced that you're not whole, that you're missing something. And so, the world offered solutions. Be better, work harder, buy more, chase that next milestone. But all of those solutions depend on the same lie, that peace is elsewhere. Watts says no, it's not out there, it's not later, it's here, now, underneath the noise. And the noise? That's the mind. The relentless chatter, the judgments, plans, comparisons, and fears. The mind isn't the enemy, it is just not the master. When you believe everything it says, you live in a distortion. A world of problems and deadlines and roles that don't even belong to you. And when emotions come up, grief, anger, sadness, most people try to fix or hide them. But Watts offers a different path. Watch them. Let them rise and fall like weather. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the one seeing them. That shift from identification to observation is liberation. When you stop clinging, emotions flow. And when they flow, they don't control you. They don't define you. They're just part of the dance. And that's the beauty of this message. It's not asking you to change who you are. It's showing you that who you really are has been here all along, buried under layers of conditioning and seriousness. You are not your job title, not your past, not your plans. You are the awareness that holds it all. Timeless, unchanging, whole. That's what presence means. It's not just mindfulness. It's not a trendy word for stress relief. It's the recognition that this moment, however ordinary, is sacred. That life is happening now, not after you fix yourself, not after you check every box. And if that sounds soft or passive, it's not. It's powerful. Because to truly be here, without striving, without needing things to be different, is one of the most radical things you can do in a world addicted to control. Presence dismantles the myth that you must earn your worth, that you must deserve joy, that you must prove your right to peace. Children get this intuitively. They don't need reasons to be joyful. They don't analyze their every move. They are fully, freely. That's not immaturity. That's unfiltered being. That's what most people lose as they grow up and start performing. But Watts reminds us, you can return. That childlike presence isn't gone. It's just buried beneath roles, beneath seriousness, beneath stories. Let go of the story. You don't have to be the character you've been playing. You can stop acting and start being. Because the script you were handed, the one about achievement, image, and control, it was written by fear, and fear doesn't lead to freedom. Freedom is found in relaxing into what is, in letting life unfold without needing to mold it into something else, in realizing that fulfillment isn't the end of a long road, it's the ground you're already standing on. When you embrace that, life shifts. Not because life changes, but because you do. You stop seeing everything as a task. You stop treating yourself as a project. And suddenly, things start to breathe again. That's the lightness Watts speaks of. The cosmic joke. That all this pressure was self-imposed. That all this chasing was unnecessary. That the meaning of life isn't found in a spreadsheet, or a bank account, or a title. It's found in being, fully, now. And when you realize that, there's a kind of laughter, not mockery relief. A soft, inner laugh at the seriousness you carried for so long. Because it was never required. The universe never asked for it. That was you, believing the story. Let it go. You don't need the stress to be responsible. You don't need the worry to care. You don't need the seriousness to be wise. True wisdom is light, gentle, present, rooted in love, not fear. And love is what's waiting when you stop trying to force your way forward. There's no one keeping score. No one waiting to see if you get it right. Life isn't grading you. It's offering itself to you. Every breath, every sound, every silence. That's not a metaphor. That's what's real. And if you're still caught in the illusion of separation, in the belief that life is a staircase, and you're still climbing, just stop for a moment. Look around. Feel your breath. Notice your body. You're here, and here is enough. Not perfect. Not always pleasant. But enough. Let the seriousness go. Not recklessly, but consciously. Let it fall like a coat you've been wearing too long. You'll still show up. You'll still care. But it won't be fear driving you anymore. It'll be presence. Because when you truly relax, when you surrender that heavy script, and stop playing the part you were cast in, you meet yourself again. Not as a project, as a presence. And in that presence, you see the truth. You were never separate. You were never late. You were never broken. You were just waiting to come home to the moment. You've been chasing peace like it's something out there, something to be found, earned, bought, or unlocked at the end of a long to-do list. But Alan Watts is saying, stop running. Because what you're looking for, it's not somewhere else. It's already here, right underneath the noise you've been mistaking for truth. And that noise? It's the mental loop that tells you you're not there yet. That you still have something to prove. That you're falling behind. That you'll finally get to relax once you've done enough. Been enough. Fixed enough. But there's no finish line where the mind suddenly goes quiet and says, okay, you're allowed to rest now. It doesn't work that way. The mind keeps moving the goalposts. It thrives on problems to solve, identities to maintain, futures to control. Watts isn't telling you to give up on life. He's telling you to give up on the illusion that life is a performance. That you have to become something else in order to matter. The truth is, you were never meant to win some game. You were meant to feel, to experience the full depth of this human existence without turning it into a project. But we're taught that being isn't enough. That feeling without fixing is weakness. That surrender is failure. That softness is vulnerability. So we armor up. We control. We measure. We analyze every moment instead of living it. And in doing so, we forget what it means to be alive. This is why Watts talks about the cosmic joke. Because once you see it, once you realize you've been sprinting in circles, chasing what's already within you, you don't get angry. You laugh. Not because it's all meaningless, but because it was never supposed to be this hard. The seriousness we've wrapped around life, it's not truth. It's habit. Inherited, repeated, reinforced. And you can choose to put it down. Not abandon responsibility, but abandon fear. There's a difference. Responsibility rooted in fear creates tension. It says, don't mess this up or you'll lose everything. But presence rooted in love says, you're already whole. Let life move through you. And when you live from that place, everything changes. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop resisting every moment. You stop filtering reality through a lens of lack. You stop believing the myth of separation.